CRWS Countering Racism White Supremacy Book Club. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
All right, greetings. This is decoding of don't blink. Um, I just my biggest takeaway is freaking like the theme of forgetting and forgiveness. I'm reminded of the what it means to be subjugated to the system of white supremacy, and like this thought came to my mind. It's like, did have non-white people forgiven white people, white supremacists, for all like the centuries and centuries of acts of terror against us, just all the horrific things they've done to us, from cannibalizing us, raping us, just totally obliterating our bodies, spirit, and minds. And then I'm like, I just look at the world 2024. I'm like, oh, this movie is very interesting because I don't think non-white people have forgiven. I definitely understand that we've forgotten because white people have done a magnificent job of just putting so many distractions in front of us, and also just retarding us to such a degree where like we don't know white people, we don't understand white people, we don't understand our history as it relates to white people, which is why in the very beginning of this movie, this black female Frida, she's so smitten by this white man. You know, if non-white people understood the system and understood what it means to be a non-white person in the system, none of us would be attracted to white people. But because we're so confused, we worship and try to get close to white people, try to make them our lovers, our friends, and whatnot. Even at the end of the movie, instead of her doing the just thing, which is probably to reveal the truth, what was going on this island, instead of doing that, she has her little white baby, her white sugar daddy, she's able to get all the things she wants. But I'll pause there, and I know Quakey was about to share before I started recording, so go ahead.
Uh, that was my second time seeing the film. The I guess I was a bit confused about the ending the first time. For some reason, I thought she was in on it, and for some reason, I thought ultimately she was the mastermind behind all of this. I wouldn't say mastermind, but uh, somehow this was like her. I guess mastermind might be a correct term to use. But after watching it again, I think totally confused by that and totally a victim in this entire situation in this whole film. Um, Speaking of themes, and I think the two things really stand out to me here in this film. Of course, being a victim under the system of racism, white supremacy, first and foremost. But the saying, as Gus always says, sobriety would be best. And I think in all situations where we find alcohol, drugs, um, those two things mainly, and victims of racism involved, the abuse, the subjugation, the destitution is soon to follow, and that was evident in the film. I think maybe I think in previous decodings, but I've I've noticed that in any scene, any film, any type of media where victims have alcohol in their hands, or saluting each other with shots, um, it's gonna get real tacky, get real trashy, and really terroristic following that every single time. I don't think there's anything that somebody can point out to me where that doesn't always follow. I think the logic and the evidence certainly suggests that involve alcohol and drugs and victims, uh, they will be prime suspects for terrorism by racist suspects. The second theme, um, and I was kind of thinking of a better term, but I think what a lot of, I guess the popular term, or hopefully it's not too confusing, but escapism, uh, essentially a victim of racism, white supremacy, attempting not to get from underneath the weight of the system. So, doing whatever they can. In this case, following a random white man to an island, um, and I think kind of a testament to her victimization that uh, under such weight, under such pressure of the system, wanting to do whatever you can to get from underneath that weight, that doing something so illogical or so dangerous, I should say, is following a white man to a private island, an island that they own, um, and also surrendering your cell phone. I don't know if she contacted anybody prior to going, letting anybody know, family, if she has any family. It seemed like the closest person to her also went on that trip as well. So who knows? Who knows if anybody knows where she's going, or if she's left. I think that also, that's another way that racist man, racist woman take advantage of their victims, by creating the conditions for black people to become so vulnerable, to make such dangerous decisions, all because of the weight of the system and trying to escape that weight. So I think those two things stood out to me a lot, especially the second time in watching it. So as I mentioned, the escapism, victim trying to get from underneath the weight of the system, any means necessary, really, and then also sobriety would be best. Thanks.
There were no questions being asked of the victim, her friend, when she's talking to Sarah, um, assuming that Sarah knew everyone on the trip. Sarah didn't know anyone. Frida didn't know anyone. Nobody knew who any of these men were, but they went on a trip with them. Why? Why? Because there's so many substances that they were using, that they were aware of and that they were not aware of, causing them to forget. So while Frida's making goo eyes at Slater, he's hunting her and enjoying himself and playing with his favorite toy. Ask questions, please.
Yeah, the comment came from Speak No Evil and this film is how alcohol, just drugs in general, are used to just make it much, much easier for the predator to hunt, to prey, because drugs typically take a person out of a state of being focused and being aware. And I just want to comment on how the system of monsters and the monstrosities, the monsters being racist man and racist woman, and the monstrosities being the victims, what it makes us. We're supposed to believe that this victim of racism and the suspected racists here are like best friends, like sisters, in a sense. But because the system is so deranged and the people who operate the system are so deranged, it makes its victims also deranged, insane. So her best friend literally is killed, and she marries the person who kills them. Now that is really, to me, a really like weaselly, spineless, and extremely incorrect thing to do. All right, is this supposed to be the hero of the story? I I don't think so. I think it's just very despicable that instead of her killing the racist man Slater, she marries him because she wants comfort. And that's the other thing this system does is that instead of facing the system, instead of revealing truth about the system, if we can get comfort and then return for that comfort, remain silent. A lot of the times, victims of racism will remain silent, will not even use their words. One of the few tools we have to counter the system is our words and our thoughts. We wouldn't even do that if we can have a little bit of comfort in the system, and I think that's very tragic. But the system has made non-white people collectively cowards, and white people as well cowards. White people are cowards because they hide behind the system, and non-white people are cowards because we hide from the system. It's very tragic, but that is what I feel to be the reality, what I think is occurring here on this planet. And I could be in error, but yeah. Folks, have anything else
Yeah.
to share?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, I'm gonna get closer because you said it was low. I got curious in the meaning of the word or name Frida. They said it's German for joy. So I think that was applicable because of her disposition is always kind of joyful and sort of optimistic in a way, which makes her more pliable for racists to use her. I got interested in the word desideria because it sounded like a disease. I'm sorry, it sounded like a disease to me. And when I put it into Google, I found a movie made in 1980. It's an Italian film, and this is from IMDb. The summary says all her life, the fat, homely child had been ignored by her rich and gorgeous mother. Tensions explode when the daughter catches her mother in bed with her lover and the maid. So, this is some kind of soft porn Italian film that is also being referenced by this movie, which I brought it up because of the, just they enjoy sexual depravity, especially in combination with what they would call decadence and opulence. It's excused sexual abuse and terrorism when a person is so-called rich. It's it's oh, okay, well, yeah, it's what they do. It's but like they said when they were like, what's up with all these outfits and stuff, like I don't know, it's rich. Okay, so somebody gets to take your phone, they get to take the clothes you came with, and then okay, all right, moving on. I did look up the red lilies, just to see, but the red is going to um the physiology of psychology with colors. It's the root, so-called chakra. It is a sensual color. It's the intensification, the representation of intensification of passion. Passion is another word for emotions. And I do believe Mr. Fuller warned, as well as others, about letting passion or emotions overcome your thought, speech, and action versus logic. There was no logic for them to get on a plane with people they don't know. There was no logic for them to um, take this serum at the end of the first meal that we saw. Oh, I got a combination of MDNA and blah, 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 and da 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 da. Like, so I have to believe. I have to not only lose my consciousness of self and safety to give it to this person and trust that you gon' give me the combination of things you've said is in this bottle. But then the question is, again, why am I here to be given a bottle of MDMA or whatever and this and that on an island after you took my phone? I am a victim. I am captivated, and now I'm in greater confinement. And Creator only knows what's about to happen next. And the programming that young people receive, especially females, to being captivated specifically for the purposes of sex, for the purposes of being around famous and rich people, because they think it's an improvement and they hope it'll lead to improvement. And that is what the end represented. Like, that is going to confuse non-white people, especially non-white black women. Well, maybe you could get the white man, or maybe you could get this abusive man into a situation where you got control over him, and then you ultimately have the money and you ultimately have the power. No, what has to be thought about at that end, especially, this woman got to spend the rest of her life making sure that man takes that concoction, so he don't remember that he is in charge. He is the apex predator. She is literally the captive person, trying to keep him tranquilized, whereas it was he that did it to her. And the game, there's a story to this that it could go so many ways, but the fact that they did it so many times, at least twice, to this female, makes me think that she been on this island quite a few times. That the time that she had the weave in the head wasn't the first time, So this is a game, and game is another word for when people hunt as well. I'll mute.
Yeah. uh, this scene where they're doing drugs and drinking and just being debaucherous, I was reminded. I was like, their wardrobe looks very Roman, and I was reminded of Caligula, who's famous for being debaucherous, white supremacist, fornicating with animals, fornicating with orgies, and I'm just understanding that sex, as we know sex today in 2024, is completely alien to what probably used to be. Sex is supposed to be this intimate, some would even say divine interaction between a male and a female. White supremacists have taken sex and turned it into violence, have turned it into something that is very much depraved. They like urinate on each other, fornicate on each other, defecate on each other, and call it sex. But that's not sex. They use sex to harm each other and to definitely conquer and harm non-white people. They've used this strategies for a very, very long time, which is why rape is so common in this system. And that's one of the main reasons why Slater King and his followers, his other white supremacist buddies, were going to this island. They were raping these girls on this island. And, it just happens actually a lot in the system. White supremacy happens a ton to children. Read the book Program to Kill, Delectable Negro, just Jeffrey Epstein situation. This is so common, but the system has made the average person just really doesn't understand and doesn't have the will to understand or care about how the system just throws away children, just uses children in super incorrect ways. And white people definitely don't care about children. If they did, we want to have millions of children dying, getting obliterated by bombs and drones and by the Israeli forces or whatever. It's just, this system is really vile, and it's tragic that seemingly so few people care enough to discuss this in a truthful manner. These movies are supposed to be entertaining. We're supposed to be entertained by what we're seeing here, entertained by this black female, she got away, yay, let's clap for her. She clapped because she got away, she got her money now. And that just goes to show you how our thinking has just been narrowed down to care about superficial things. We don't care about let's guarantee no one is being mistreated and everyone receives constructive help. No one's on our frequency of thinking. We're taught to think about, hey, just get money, have fun, and look cute. That's from what I observed. That's as far as we are taught here on planet Earth by racist men and racist women, and super pitiful. Oh, anyone else? Oh, and I also have the sex trafficking. Just selling people into sex slavery that's been going on since non-white people were captured during the transatlantic slave war, which is still going on as far as I'm concerned. We're still being captured and sold into sex slavery, and children in all parts of the world are still facing that horrid reality. Just type in anything regarding like child slavery on YouTube. You'll find a bunch of documentaries about children forced in all these foreign countries, forced into this horrific existence. But that is what the system demands. It demands children being abused and non-white people being abused, and white people benefiting from all of this evilness. White supremacists, racist men and racist women. And I can't identify which one is a white supremacist and which one isn't. That's why when I say white people, I mean the ones that are white supremacists. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all guilty by association, because the so-called white people who are not white supremacists fail every single day to help us to produce justice, which is guaranteeing no one is allowed to be mistreated, and the people who need help receive constructive help. Instead of doing that, we're making films like this. And it's interesting that this film was directed by a black female who I believe has a white parent. So that's interesting as well. A product of rape. White person, non-white person equals rape. Read the United Independent Compensatory Counter-Racist concept to understand further what that means when a white person and a non-white person goes to the bedroom. Tevin, you're going to say something?
Yep. So I just wanted to start, with the director, Zoe Kravitz. She does not have a white parent. Her father does, yes. But yeah, I wanted to start with her because based on her personal life, she has not, and this is not known that she's only dated white men. So that was one thing that I put down. Now, based on the movie, the character Slater, the actual origin of that name is an origin for butcher, or slaughter. Also, too, in the beginning where he's doing the apology video, that's like in reference to, if you go on YouTube, there's like playlists of YouTube channels where if there's anything controversial related to that actual channel, they will put out a apology video, and some people think that they're honest, some people don't. So that was something to point out. I thought that the technology early on had like something to do with the black female, but just like toward the end, once we realized that she's like actually been to that island before, I kind of like threw that theory out of my notes. The music, when she goes into work, she's playing James Brown, "Pay the Cost to Be the Boss." Now I'm in Mr. Fuller's word guide. Boss is actually in this book. So, boss, use this word with caution. When others use it, ask for a detailed explanation that you can easily understand. What exactly is a boss? Is it necessary for a boss to be in the form of a person? Is it better
for a boss of people to be in the form of a code or in the form of a set of laws for thought, speech, and action. Why not call a boss by the title of advisor or instructor or director? Reason: the word boss has sometimes been associated with the persons, with the persons who practice racist slavery, white supremacy. So if paying the cost to be the boss is to be raped not once but twice on the island, I don't want to be that type of boss. Uh, what are my other notes? The all white clothing, uh, like giving off the innocence factor of the women that were being sexually abused and raped. Uh, also, I did write down alcohol because that was around the 10-minute mark. Uh, yes, I also wrote down zero questions because that was that was obvious in the beginning, and then once when I realized that it was the actual collective of pretty much everybody there, including some of the actual men, yeah, you have to ask questions. Um, I thought that early on with her wearing that red dress, uh, I first thought that she was some sort of sacrifice for the Slater character. Um, oh yeah, she also wanted white acceptance because uh, she was first called invisible by her employee, and then later she tells her best friend Jess that she feels invisible. So she wanted that acceptance from white people, including Slater. Uh, also thought that the white woman Stacy that was played by Gina Davis, I had wrote down what was her purpose in the actual flick, and she was sort of similar to the white woman character in Speak No Evil, to where she was to maintain this lie. Uh, okay, and then toward the end, toward the end, uh, when he realizes that like he starts remembering everything, she ends up saving him. So I wrote down she saves him. So was Slater really that powerful? Then I wrote, uh, if this was about a power dynamic, why would a rape victim stay? And then my last note was the Lucas character. He was sort of similar to a character in a movie from '94 that Ice T was in called "Surviving the Game," where uh, he has no clue. Well, really, the actual Lucas character just thought he was just down there to just have some fun. Hence why he was, claimed to have, been doing nothing from the Slater character. Same thing with the character in Surviving the Game named Derek Wolf. He didn't really do anything. He pretty much thought that he was out there to just shoot deer and hunt, but they were really hunting a black person. So I think I'll end my thoughts there. I'm mute.
Thank you for reminding me, Tevin, about the apology aspect of this film. Is that apologies without compensation are worthless. Non-white people really have to stop caring and demanding about apologies. We need to demand actual change, actual compensation, actual production of the system of justice, because apologies are just so worthless, and white people, spill like a billion gallons of oil into the planet, to the oceans, killing hundreds of thousands of creatures, and then say I'm sorry, and then nothing constructive happens. Apologies are so worthless in the system. I was one of the many reasons I appreciate the code for bringing that reality to me, is that apologies are worthless. That's one of the ways white people maintain the system, by conquering the planet and then saying, "Oh, sorry, won't give reparations, but we're definitely sorry about enslaving and raping you for those centuries," even though we're still doing it 2024. Um, when they were wearing the blue and red dress, she had on a red dress, and her friend Jess had on the blue dress. I was reminded of like the blue pill, the red pill. You take the red pill, you're supposed to like see the truth, see the reality. You take the blue pill, you're supposed to stay in the fantasy. But that's what I got from that. And yeah, her. What you said about the white acceptance, just her feeling, her being called invisible by her employer. It's just we. Oh, also the trauma aspect of this film. Like, non-white people are super traumatized. We've been super damaged by this system, and she watch her mom try to kill herself, and instead of attempting to understand why that happened, she would rather forget, which is a testament to the collective non-white people on planet Earth. We are not interested in understanding the trauma committed against us and our ancestors. We don't want to understand it so we can correct it and use it to help us produce justice. We rather forget it in a form of just being silly, just being focused on not producing justice, just being focused on not countering white people, not asking white people, hey, what's going on here on planet Earth? Why is it so miserable here? Why is everyone suffering besides seemingly white people? Or how come compared to white people, everyone's just doing absolutely terrible on this planet? How come it's so few of you all, yet you guys have conquered this planet? Instead of understanding the trauma happening on this planet, nope, just forget. So that's something that's another lesson we could take from this horrible film, if you ask me. I don't think this film was well made. I don't think this is a good film. I don't think this is I don't know what good means. This is definitely not a film I recommend to anyone. Another song, you mentioned the song being played. Jungle Fever was definitely played, and Jungle Fever was like slang for like for rape. A non-white person and white person having sex, that is a white person committing rape against non-white person. So Jungle Fever, a song about rape. We also have a movie called Jungle Fever, which is also about rape. A white woman raping a black male, pitiful black male, Wesley Snipes. Yeah, this is I think that's all my notes. First, got anything else to share, or we can wrap it up?
I think the outfits were very Greco-Roman, and white is also, to me, sacrificial, So I do agree that red indicated that she was going to be some indirect contact for sure with Slater. Now you go to this scene right here. It's interesting how their two interactions or their interaction is at first, and how she's cold toward her, and then the more they're captivated, she gets friendlier and friendlier. But I wonder if at any time, I don't know, it's not important. I won't go there, but just to see this white female going, she wants him, and she's with this other guy to try to get to him, and he wants the black woman, and they both don't understand, or at least it comes across that they both don't understand how treacherous these white men they are with are. And I also agree, just to end it, I don't want to be rich bad enough to be captivated on an island and tortured and my memory wiped. It's not worth it. We do need to be serious. Stylistically, people say it was a good film because you can tell there was some type of artistic maneuvering done. You can tell that when we looked at the preview and she talked about how much she put into sound design. Okay, great, that made it stand out, but it's a well put together tale of the system continuing. And with that said, no, it's not a good movie. We're in very dire straits, and we got to figure something out. We need to figure out something immediately.
Oh, totally agree, Miss Irie. Yeah, and I'm not gonna say Frida was raped twice. I'm sure she was raped dozens of times in this film. Um, yeah, but I don't think it was. I think it was way more than twice. But according to her behavior, it did not matter. She gets to get her comfort. She has money now. She has comfort now. She has access to wealth. Unfortunately, a lot of non-white people are willing to subject themselves to being sexually abused, misused, to achieve what they consider wealth, comfort. So it's definitely hitting on something accurate. It's very tragic, very horrendous, but so look at what they call Hollywood. Lots of debaucherous things go on in there, and lots of horrible things happen to non-white people, and we don't find out about it happening until many years later for some reason. So, not blaming. The blame is always on racist men and racist women for creating and maintaining such a vile system. I wonder what happened to the white woman. She obviously didn't tell anyone either about what was going on because, obviously someone would have been Slater King would have been hopefully put in greater confinement. And the Christian Slater's character was very interesting because he is known to play a bunch of characters that are just where's Christian Slater? Let's see if I can get it. There he is. You remember we decoded Very Bad Things where he plays the absolute lunatic white supremacist. So I think it's interesting that Christian Slater is in this movie and the main character name is Slater. And Christian Slater has a history of playing just like insane psychopath white supremacists. But what Tevin said about the meaning of the word Slater meaning butcher can be traced back to that word butcher. It makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Folks have anything else to share? I'll give 5 seconds to unmute.
Mind control.
Yeah, I wanted to add or make my last point here. Yeah, I did not like the ending of the film. I'm not. I think the reason why I did not like the ending of the film was mainly, this situation. I think kind of to Ari's point earlier, and also Monsoon what they were saying, but you know, and I'm gonna kind of circle this back to the beginning, but the fact, okay, well, I think one of the main issues is her kind of seeking out to be in proximity to this white male, and that direct non-constructive contact that she was seeking from this white male, I think is really what has caused this entire situation. And there's a lesson to be learned. I know Mr. Fuller talks about minimizing contact and maximizing constructive contact minimizing contact, uh, to minimize conflict, maximizing constructive contact, something along those lines. You know, I like to apply that not only to non-white people but to white people as well. And you know, if maybe she had adhered to that critical principle, she wouldn't have found herself in this situation. And you know, the reason why I dislike the ending of this film or in the film entirely is because you know she this after these white people abused her, raped her, traumatized her. I don't even know if you can say she's traumatized by the way that it appears she's feeling about everything. But to then go and keep this white male in such close proximity to yourself, you know, let's just pray he doesn't wake up out of his stupor, right? Like he like I was saying, you know, he forgets to take that or she forgets to give him that substance. You know, I think the message here for non-white people, or especially I would suspect non-white females, black females, is you know that this may be some type of win, essentially. Like she came up on top after all of it, but I think her life is in constant danger. Um, and I can only imagine what all these white people think in this room about how she got to where she is right now. I mean, somebody in there, I'm sure somebody's plotting her downfall right now. So I think, you know, with that programming, that messaging, I think this film is kind of an awful film to suggest to anybody, especially if they're not going to kind of analyze it from that perspective or standpoint. Um, but yeah, I think that's about what I wanted to add to that. I think you know the ending. I think what makes a good film is usually an ending with a real constructive message, and this film was missing that. I don't think there's a constructive message at the end. I think if anything, this would encourage. It may encourage people to kind of engage in this type of activity to show resiliency. You know, white people love to see black people being resilient and overcoming adversity, and somebody can say that that's what this black female did, overcame adversity and showed some real resilience and I don't know, taking over this white man's business. I don't know, but horrible message, horrible ending. I don't know, maybe a 4 out of 10 if I'm rating it. That's all.
Yeah, I'll just add some more. Um, like I watched a couple of other reviews for this film. Someone pointed out the Garden of Eden aspect of the film with the maid, which I think if you go to the credits, she's listed as badass maid. Um, also, you know, the whole snake aspect where she, you know, kills the actual snake, and next thing you know, that's like the venom to make them remember the uh, the atrocities that was going on. I also wanted to point out that Frida, she looked up to Slater twice. Third time she was looked up. Well, she had looked up when she was being chased by the white guy that later was killed with a rock. Um, so looking up to a white person, you know, again, black person at the bottom, white person on the top. Trying to see. Oh, and then also too, um, I think I think Zoe's whole point in this movie that I guess that she was trying to get across to herself is that you know even though I have failed at dating white men, even marrying one, and also being divorced. I know there was a when I was reading, it said that she was later dating Channing Tatum after filming this movie, and now they're engaged. So now she's in this other tragic arrangement, thinking that she can, I guess, be the so-called boss in this relationship coming up. But again, like if it didn't work before, it's not going to work now. So to me, it was more of the black female being her more than anything, of like conquering a white person, however that can be. But yeah, and then also too, she was pointing yeah, she was giving off the patriarchy and matriarchy aspects to where at the end, well, in the beginning, you know most of the women are far apart from each other, including the actual one that was not uh talkative to Frida. And then later those two bond together to kill all of these white guys. um but also too, I didn't like the ending because Slater is not a redeemable character. So like, her saving him, makes the movie even worse if you watch it if you watch it 3, 4, 5 times. It's like at the end of the day, he killed your best friend. I mean, even though it's a actual white person, again, he's not redeemable. Like so, but yeah, yeah, I don't care for rating of the actual flick. It's just some parts I found entertaining, some parts I didn't. Then other parts I just wrote down as notes. So, but yeah, I'll just end it there.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I think I might want to see what Zoe Kravitz had to say about this film, because I'd be interested to try to understand or explore why the ending was the way it was, if she ever talks about it or if it's out there. Because I kind of need to know why, what, why.
We mentioned mind control. Yeah, mind control is definitely a reality in this system. Usually achieved by massive deception, massive violence, and sexual depravity. And all of that was in this film. Non-white people are definitely under immense mind control. It's evidence in the way we think, what we're taught to seek out, what we are taught to enjoy. A lot of it is not good for the spirit, the mind, or the body. How we're just taught to, it's Friday, time to go to the club, time to go to the bar, consume alcohol. Just a lot of our diet and a lot of our just time and energy is spent in a way that is detrimental to our existence. So that is a form of mind control. We not much has been said about this character. Take him to be suspected racist. Maybe he's supposed to be like an innocent white person, but it's just a suspected racist is as guilty as a white supremacist, if you ask me. So yeah.
Well, he was beat up because he wouldn't participate. The way they made it look when we got to see what was really happening. He's being trained on how to be a white supremacist
Precisely.
male.
Mm-hmm.
He refers to his childhood a lot, so he's very underdeveloped in his terroristic ways.
Yeah, I think he kind of represents the white child in the film, whereas the other, maybe the white males, white racist man, racist child right here. There was a point in the film So I wasn't sure whether I don't think he was. I don't think any of the males were drugged, but he did when kind of everything started to hit the fan, especially for the white males. He mentioned like he yelled out, well, kind of like what's going on, like, but we're such nice guys, and I thought, at first that kind of confused me. I'm kind of like, is he's not drugged, but he must think like this is a great situation that's going on. I mean, I'm sure the white males were thinking that they created the whole situation. But I think it's kind of just a testament that for white people, especially, like this is a part of them, this is their culture. And back to my earlier point, if the white female of the black female, non-white people in general don't seek these people out, maybe that conflict could be minimized. Because they're going to do what they do and they're not going to think twice about it.
If there is a sequel to this film, it should be called Think Twice, and it should end with a production of the system of justice. Anything else will be like this film. Complete
Last thing, this, no,
complete and
sorry.
utter waste of time. Complete and utter waste of time. Go ahead.
Last thing, this movie was originally called Pussy Island. So that's all I wanted to say.
Terrible title. I'm glad. Well, that's a terrible title. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say ridiculous and would have deterred. So it no.
So this is a final comment from me. Speak no evil. Within the first 10 minutes, there's a joke made where like the character's like, "Oh, you're so terrible," and the actual deranged white supremacist maniac says, "You don't know the half of it." In the beginning of this film, where she meets Rich, and then she's like, "Blink twice if I'm in danger," and he blinks twice. Uh, that was interesting. It's just those warnings that victims are maybe are we are warned, but we don't get the message because of our thinking has been so held back, slowed down, not at the level where it should be, which is what retarded means. Just being held back. You're at a level of a child, a child that can't think too well. We really got a lot of evolving to do, a lot of work towards producing justice.